I woke up, I immediately said, oh my God, what is this? What is happening? And over my bed, I immediately sensed these beings. They were permeating their frequency with their hands over me. These stories, I mean, they get me really emotional because we will all go through a lot in the next years, and we have to be really strong. You just started recently, but you're an ancient soul. You've done this over and over again, and you're just now here to connect with millions and millions of people that will eventually watch your podcasts and realize that this world is just a very, very small part of where we go and where we experience.
All right. So today we got Nicole Meeuws on the podcast. She is an artist through and through, but she's also an NDE experiencer. And she had died in a procedure in 2015. And so we go over that and how that completely changed everything for her. We really talked about a lot of different subjects. I told her a little bit about what I was struggling with, some things on my mind, and she was actually able to help me through that. Just a really good conversation. I have a feeling Nicole and I will be friends for a very long time. Her artwork is beautiful, by the way, so I'm going to link everything down below in the notes. And yeah, if you're first time here, I appreciate you being here. If you've been here, thank you. Please consider leaving me a like or a comment. This is what I want to do full time, guys. And so you are helping me do that. So I appreciate you more than you know. And without further ado, let's get on with it. I want to hear it for the first time. I think that's always fun for me.
If we want to go back to my life as a child, I've had lots of supernatural experiences. It didn't just start after 2015 when I had my near-death experience for the first time. It started really at the age of 3, where I would leave my body with the help of 2 blue beings, 2 small blue boys, I would call them, and they would take me across the road. I lived in just outside of Oxford in England, in a beautiful countryside, and these 2 blue beings would come every evening to my room and take me out to the neighbour's garden, a huge woodland area, and there I would be greeted by a beautiful dragon, a funny type of dragon. I think he was yellow with green or pink spots, I don't know, but he was very funny and he calmed me down as soon as I was there. And I arrived there and there was this amazing fairground. But in hindsight, when I think about it, it was really an object with lots of lights, flashing, colourful, beautiful, illuminated lights. And I would do that from the age of 3 till 6, almost every night. Wow. So I'd be really excited to go to sleep and being collected by these 2 blue-skinned boys. I would call them the 2 blue boys. So that's really where it started, these strange experiences. And I tell my mother about it. And then, of course, years later, I completely forgot, as you do as a young child. And then I think in my mid-20s, around 25, 26, my mum, one day we were in the supermarket together and she said, oh, do you remember those funny stories you used to tell me about the 2 blue boys? And instantaneously, I almost dropped all my shopping on the floor. And it's amazing when somebody starts to kind of remind you of like old memories when you were a kid and it all comes back. It's like hidden somewhere in the crevices of your mind. And it was like a key unlocking those secrets back into real time. And I was like, wow, yeah, I remember that. What was that? What was that incredible experience? Gosh. And so, yeah, so that was one of the first experiences. I mean, I traveled the world. I've been living in many different countries. And when I lived in Africa, I lived in southern Africa, close to the Transkei, very rural. I think the closest village was 8 hours away by car. So we had no one there. But back then I was in quite a toxic relationship with a South African man. And he would leave me for days, sometimes weeks alone on a farm where we lived. And this farm was just the most wildest, beautiful farm you can ever imagine. We had baboons, peacocks, we had black mambas, green mambas, the most dangerous snakes in the world. If one bite would kill you. And I'd be sitting on the porch and they'd just be slithering past me and I'd just watch and observe. And I'd see cobras and pythons. And my 2 little Jack Russells at the time would just escape and run in the tall grass, and I would scream because I would be terrified if they'd be bitten because, you know, there was so much wildlife all around me. And then one early evening, as the sky changed colors into beautiful dusk, I saw it in the distance, far about, I think about 10 meters away. These incredible luminous green orbs, two of them just casually floating by. And I'd watch them. And because things like that never surprised me, I know that we live in a magical realm. I would just watch in awe and just it would be even more of a confirmation to me that the realm we live in is so much more than we could ever imagine and that we're ever told. And we're so blindsided by our everyday lives and by our city lives that we no longer connect to nature and experience that nature isn't just a bunch of mushrooms or trees. Nature is the interdimensional forces that exist between the trees, between the plants, between the insects. So that was something that really, I would see lots of supernatural things happening on that farm. So yeah, so that was one of my second supernatural experiences. And then I, of course, had to run away from this toxic relationship into the arms of back then a very wonderful woman in her late, I think she was in her late 70s, called Marjorie. And Marjorie was this incredible spiritual woman who would meditate every day from 3 in the morning till 6 in the morning. She was a very petite, tiny little lady with silver white bobbed hair, very, very fragile, but so powerful spiritually. And she would wear every day the color of the universe. So one day she would wear indigo, the next day she would wear blue. And she would have this mantra of every day wearing a specific color, coinciding with the universal frequencies, which I found very interesting at the time. And she said, listen, come and stay in my house. You'll be safe here for a few days. So I managed to leave that toxic relationship and went into this house. And she said, I must tell you, my attic is haunted, but you can stay there. Of course, I laughed it off, didn't take it serious. I was so stressed out with my life back then that I needed some peace. I needed just some nurture. And Marjorie was the best place to go to. And so I went to the attic, and it was this wonderful mint green room, like almost back in time from the 1920s, with the most beautiful crocheted, soft coloured bedspread on an old wooden bed, and a sink in the corner that probably had been built before my birth, probably before my grandparents' birth. I don't know, it was so old. But it was a beautiful room. And that night I lay in bed and drifted off to sleep. And I woke suddenly, I think it was around 3 or 4 in the morning, to the most incredible smell of 1,000 roses. The air was so pungent and so powerfully potent, the smell of roses, that I woke up. I immediately said, oh my God, what is this? What is happening? And over my bed, I immediately sensed these beings. They were permeating their frequency with their hands over me, over my body. I couldn't see them, but I could sense them. I could feel them. And they were sending healing energy to me because I'd lived for 6 years in really hardcore physical and emotional abuse. So they were healing me at that time. And I think during that time, I just transformed and finally left that experience. And that experience really woke something inside of me up that I need to be open to much more that's around me, not just the reality, the realm we live in.
Okay. So
That's a
incredible.
lot.
I wanna take it back to the blue beings, and we'll kind of work our way back to where we are. So the two blue beings, what I think is fascinating about that is Nicole, don't feel like I remember a ton of my childhood. And I love that you said that. Like, I think a lot of us are that way, where maybe we've experienced it because we're more open as children. I have little ones right now, and so I can kind of see their innocence, and they're not trained in any which way, right? So they're just open. They're little open beings, and I'm sure that they see things that we are not all seeing as adults, right? Because of the way we're conditioned and all of that. And so, man, I wonder if I had anything like that. because I gotta tell you, I remember being really scared as a kid. Like I was the one who ran to my parents' room all the time, always running to my parents' room. And I was terrified of people breaking in the home. And I feel like as a kid, why would I be so scared about that? Like that makes me wonder, like, why that? Because it wasn't like I sat around watching movies, and like even really understood that. Like, why would I have that fear as a child? It makes me feel like I was visited. So I don't
I
know.
think I think you absolutely are spot on there. That feeling that you had of running to your parents' room is a direct feeling of something coming to visit you that you
Hmm.
saw and experienced. And you might have seen it visually, that it scared you, or you might have felt it because as a child, you see and feel everything
Hmm.
because you're still not programmed into this corrupt system of lies to to be blindsided by life. So as a child, you're completely pure and innocent. You're a God spark, so I'm sure you did experience something very, very real.
Yeah. How would you recommend I go about remembering that? I mean, what should I do? Some kind of regression, some past life regression, or some kind of hypnosis? What do you
You know,
think?
the best way for you to remember is to immerse yourself in water, whether it's a lake or the ocean or a bath, even in a shower, just immersing yourself in water and go quiet. And sometimes a bath is better or the ocean because you can sit there and just relax, but not fall asleep. You're completely awake. And then you ask to be shown, please show me what I experienced as a child. Yeah. And you ask that to come in. And then you'll probably receive either thoughts, words, images, feelings. And then over time, every time you get these ideas, thoughts, images, start writing them down. And then slowly, slowly, you'll start to be able to create some kind of a time loop of what experiences you had back then as a child. I'm 100% sure. First of all, when I tune into you, I can see you're extremely sensitive.
Hmm.
It also feels to me that you don't like to be around large crowds at all. You like to
Yep,
actually go into
100%.
forests. You like to be around trees. I can see that you like to be around trees or the ocean, those two things. But you are a bit of a loner. You like to do things on your own. So yes, you definitely had experiences as a child. And I think you're doing it already anyway. You're going into meditation. You're trying, these things happen. So water,
Okay.
water listens.
All right. I've never been told that before, so I'm excited to do that. I will definitely do that. So it sounds
But
very
don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep.
okay.
Okay, you have to be fully aware and conscious when you're in the water to receive the information.
Okay. No, I got you. Um, so your experience was very positive. That's fun. So this was yeah, it sounds like a very positive experience. Did you ever feel like you would be having an NDE or any type of like did that reality ever
No.
hit you or any thoughts like that? Like, okay, I'm gonna have this experience when I'm older. So it was almost like they were, I don't want to say prepping you, but just getting you used to this world. Or what is your thoughts on that? Or are you completely blindsided by the NDE as well?
No, to be honest, I didn't really believe in them.
Mm.
Even that I had all these spiritual experiences, your brain is still trying to be logic.
Yeah, that's right.
We're brought up in the left brain world where everything is done with metrics, analytics.
Mhm.
Everything is, look at the buildings we live in, they're all square and hideously ugly.
Gross. I
Um,
feel the same way. They're
so
just gross buildings.
Yeah. So, we're awakening to that already now. Many of us are awakening to that. So no, I didn't at all think about, NDEs or was really vaguely interested in them. I liked actually listening to ghost stories. That's something I liked listening to old ancient ghost stories from the 1800s, like those gothic ghost
Hmm.
stories, but not the horror ones, the beautiful ones, the magical ones.
Yeah.
So when this NDE happened, it was really quite life-changing, to be honest.
Well, let's dive in.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go to it. So you had paranormal experiences your whole life. Let's fast forward to the
yeah.
to the NDE. I'm excited about this.
Right. So let's take everyone back to 2015. Where were you? I was 4 months pregnant. I was 39 at the time, and I was trying to have a child, one of my last tries, to be honest. I was a bit fearful about having children, to be honest, because I wasn't 100%. I wasn't one of those women that said, I want to have children. It was more of a, if it happens, fantastic. If not, then yeah, so be
Okay.
it. But anyway, I was 4 months pregnant and something went horribly wrong that day. I didn't feel well and I was rushed into hospital. My husband's a doctor and he said, we need to have scans immediately. And they found out that the baby had died and that I needed to remove the baby as quickly as possible. Otherwise I would die. So, of course, it was a bit of a shock and, of course, lots of guilt and anger and regret. But I was wheeled into the hospital room and there I was surrounded by lots of white coats, lots of doctors in this very sterile environment, very cold. And, doctors aren't the great kind of, not met. Well, I don't know. I can't say that. Not all doctors are like that, but the doctors I experienced that day weren't particularly pleasant. It was in Austria, in Vienna at the time. And they were administering the anesthesia as I lay there. And as they administered the anesthesia, one of the doctors started looking at my heart rate and blood pressure. And immediately my blood pressure just went completely out of control. My heart rate went completely out of control. And they all started panicking. And the moment I saw that, I went into absolute anxiety because, usually you want to feel safe. And I knew, oh shit. And the moment I said, oh shit, I was sucked out of my body. And there was no stopping it. I couldn't fight it. I was just sucked out of my body into this brilliant blue-white light. And it wasn't one of those bright, piercing lights. It was this incredible, all kinds of shades of blues, but this calling, this soft realm calling you in with this light, calling you in. So there I was being sucked into this blue-white light and suddenly standing in this incredible illuminated white room with endless walls and endless ceilings. And I stood there and I felt as if I feel right now, alive and real. And I thought, wow, where am I? And I looked at my body. I couldn't quite see my body, although I can't really remember it. But I remember in that moment, I looked up and right in front of me were the most enormous, giant marble thrones in the most intricate marble designs. I'd never seen anything like that before, not even Atlantean style. I have no idea what Atlantean style, but it wasn't from our Earth. It was so majestic and so otherworldly and so beautiful beyond any art we've experienced here. And there on the thrones sat, they were both male and female, so they weren't one sex, they were intertwined. Male, female, both of them. They had blue skin. They had enormous indigo eyes. They had feathered hair. All their hair were feathers, but very long, almost like a Native American headdress. Huge and long, beautiful hair, all made out of purple, indigo, white, and different shades of blue feathers, right down to their navel. They had almost like lion type humanoid faces, but with lion noses. I remember them having whiskers, but very recently I've come to the understanding they weren't whiskers, they were gills. They were gills that were superimposed on their face like that, gills. And they had fishtails sitting on thrones. So, of course, it was something out of my wildest imagination. I had no idea what I was looking at. Yet there was this incredible, deep, peaceful feeling of coming home. And immediately I thought, wow, if this is home, this is really, wow, it's probably a lot better than my home, even though I
Yeah.
come from such a wonderful, loving family. I'm very blessed to come from a great mum and dad. But this home seemed eternal. It seemed ancient. It seemed like an eternal ancient tribe I was coming back to welcome me home. And they looked at me, and there was no word spoken. They just, when you're there, it's almost like you understand everything instantaneously. There are no words. We don't need to communicate. Yeah, because communication comes through the heart. It comes through the heart, and it's just a knowing. And they said to me I wasn't supposed to have children in this lifetime, whatever that was supposed to mean, I have no idea, and that I shouldn't carry the guilt, and I shouldn't carry the pain and the loss, and that I should let it go because it doesn't serve me in my life. And so in that instant moment, all of that heaviness dispersed and dissipated away. And I was left feeling utterly loved. I was left feeling just completely the opposite to being judged. I felt accepted, completely accepted. And then a fast reel started playing in front of me, like a movie on fast forward, of images of our earth, of moments in time, future moments, events, things. And I couldn't quite capture the events because it was so fast going past. And as I tried to focus more and more on these events, I was sucked right back into my body. And I awoke with an Austrian nurse clinging onto her hand. I remember saying to her, "Oh my God, do you know where I've just been?" In an excited tone, of course. And she just threw my hand down and said, "Don't touch me." And instantaneously, I knew I was back in this realm, in this earthly realm, with the heaviness of these emotions that some of these sterile nurses have. Not all of them, but this particular one did. But I was very fortunate that my husband was right next to me. So I was overjoyed looking at him. And for the next 10 minutes, I was telling him where I'd been, what I'd seen, what I experienced. I told him that this world was just some type of a play, not sure, some type of a strange musical. I'm not sure. Where's the music? It's playing somewhere. And I spoke to him, and slowly, he said, "It's okay, calm down, calm down." And then I realized I wasn't talking English to him at all. I was speaking a completely foreign, ancient language, which sounded a little bit like an ancient tribe. I used a lot of, because he remembers this, he told me this all afterwards. I was using a lot of words like ka, ka, and very, very high-pitched clicking sounds, dolphin sounds, and whale sounds. It sounds completely out there.
Whoa.
But that's what I was doing. And I remember, because when you're awake, next to me, there were other beds as well of people that had come out of surgery. And this man, who I couldn't see behind a curtain, he'd just come out of an operation. He started laughing really loud. And I'll never forget, he says, "I know where you've been." And I never met him. I never spoke to him again, but I really wished I could have connected with him. Anyway, so that was my NDE experience. That was the most sublime experience. Of course, I was bawling my eyes out for the next weeks, wondering if I'd gone mad, if I'd lost the plot. Who are these beings? What are they? Where do they come from? Why did I see them? Why wasn't I met by Christ or by some godly figure? Why wasn't I met by something more humanoid, right? But if I think back to it now, angels are very tall, and they have indigo eyes, and they also have feathers. So I think possibly they were some type of an angelic, ancient tribal realm where I was experiencing these beings, these interdimensional beings. I'm sure of it now. Yeah, it was a fascinating experience that gave me so much peace. And I also brought with it lots of wisdom, because I remember when I was in that realm, it felt very fluid, very watery, almost as if it was like a water paradise that was surrounded by some kind of a fluid ocean type of experience. So that was also very interesting. And then weeks went past after the NDE, and I started researching online to see if anybody else had experienced anything similar. And over time, I found out about the Dogon tribe, who were visited by blue extraterrestrial dolphin-type beings and were told about the star Sirius. Um, they had never ever had, scientists basically went to them in the 1920s to investigate how they could have star knowledge about Sirius B. It was impossible. And then they told their ancient story about these ancient extraterrestrial beings, interdimensional beings, whatever they were, came to visit them and give them this star knowledge. So I thought that was the only kind of relation that I could, but they weren't, because of the language, the dolphin language and the tail, the fish type tails, but still they were humanoid. And then I looked deeper into that, and I also saw that in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, they have these half humanoid fish gods that are represented throughout time, Mesopotamia. And, these are ancient types of gods that were real for them. What is it that we don't know? What history has been held from us that we are unaware of, that I experienced in real time, that I saw, and they spoke to me and told me I was one of them, you know? So it makes me feel good to know that I'm one of them. It makes me also feel good to know that there is something else after we die. And it's so difficult to put it into words because I think everybody's experience is so different. And I think it has everything to do with our coding. I really believe that each one of us has a different code, even though we're all absolutely interconnected to one another. We're all fractals of the same universal love in Christ, God. The I am, I call it. Yeah.
Wow. 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 How hard it would be to come back from that. I mean, that would be so difficult to be now in this, this just heavy meat body. Like how hard that would be. That
Well,
would,
it is difficult, but if you're someone like me that's always tried to follow the signs, then life is much easier. I've always seen the signs in nature. I've always seen the signs that appear to me, and those signs can be seen like the Native Americans, how they see they read signs in nature and they follow callings. They watch the stars. They see the changes. They watch the cycles. They understand how the cycles work. They watch the sun. We've all lost that. But if we tune back into that, we can remember who we are and who we've always been. And I probably always had that connection to that. For instance, in January of this year, the earthquake started to come in Greece every few minutes, more and more,
yeah.
more and more. In Paros, I lived on Paros Island for 12 years, and the earthquake started coming. And I had these unbelievable anxiety feelings and visions of something huge is coming, not just to us, but to everyone worldwide. And I'm saying this without the fear because every single one of us is prepared, whether we realize that or not. We all know what's coming. It's something why we came in to this earthly realm at this time and to have chosen this time to come in. So it's something that we know. It's in our hearts. So it's nothing to do with fear. It's just about acceptance and how are we going to choose to live through it. Are we going to live through these times with our hearts, helping one another, being there for one another? Or are we going to act on fearful survival tactics and this is mine and you can't have this? It totally depends on who you are within right now. And it's a huge test that's coming to all of us, a huge test. And we'll be fine. We'll be fine if we, follow through it. I have two dogs here, so I hope they're not too loud.
No, you're good. I love that you're not leading with fear. I have a big problem with people who do that. I think there's a line to
Yeah.
walk. Like if there's, of course, something's coming, then yeah, we need to um, speak about it, talk about it. I think that's all fine. I just don't love when it's, fear harvesting or they're doing it to sell something or I don't know. It bothers me. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
But
And
it
I'm go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. It takes away our power, the
Hmm.
power that we've always had since we were born as little young children. As kids, we were so powerful. We were all superheroes and we knew it. That's why we saw
Yep.
auras around our friends. That's why we felt things in the room and ran to our parents to escape because we could see or feel things or hear things. We knew it, but slowly over time, because of our parents, because of kindergarten, because of school, because of university, we lose our superhero powers unless we keep on tuning into that frequency with our hearts. We don't tune into it with our minds. It's a heart resonance. It comes from the oldest brain that's within us. It's our hearts.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, I think I spent so much of my life in fear, actually, so I'm over it. That's maybe why it bothers me, because I'm like, I don't want to feel that anymore. I have two daughters. Like, I want to believe that I came here for a reason, and that, like you said, I know what's happening. Um, so this has been on my mind lately, and Nicole, I'm one of those people where I have to be careful sometimes with what I watch. I think we talked about it a little bit, but I really meant that. I have to be very
Yes.
conscious of where I put my attention, probably because I'm so open-minded. Um,
It's
I don't want
because
to
you're
say it's
so
too.
psychic. It's
I
because
don't.
you're so psychic.
Yeah, I
Yes,
don't know what
you
it
are.
is, but I have to be very careful. And there's been
That's
a
why.
well, that's I love that. I mean, it makes me happy. I hope so. I feel like you'd be a good person to talk to about this because it's been bothering me for the last week, maybe. Um, okay, so I'm one of those people where I've just been recently awakening, if you will, since probably 2022. So not super recent, but also I'm still on my path. I'm consuming information. I've created a language with my guides. I write everything down in this book. Um, anything cool that's happened to me, like I'll give you a small example, but I'm going through kind of a hard time of releasing some bad habits, and I asked my guides to show themselves to me in the form of either a hummingbird or a butterfly. That's like how I know that they're around. And the second I started doing that, I'm telling you, I've never in my life had a butterfly land on me. And I opened the door yesterday, and a butterfly went and like landed on my shoulder, and then kept going on its way. And I was like, wow. And I this morning on my walk saw four hummingbirds. I don't see them all the time. Like I don't see them like that. And so little things. I've been doing that now for the last couple of years. I heard this theory and it's bothering me. And I don't know what it is, but it's bothering me. It's by David Icke. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is.
Yes.
He said that like this whole thing, it's similar. But he's like, yeah, we've been run by beings our whole like he said Earth is a trap. And this whole idea of reincarnation and that we're imprisoned here, and whenever we like the life in between lives is actually we all think it's a light or a god. Or he said spirituality is basically a trap. Like he said, when you die, you get to that point and they convince you like, oh, this is love, you go down there for a reason. And they brainwash you, erase your memory, and they send you back. And I was like, wow, how terrifying would that be, to think that you're out of the game, right, by leaving your physical body, but you're not technically out of the game. And that we are, I don't know, it really bothered me. And I couldn't shake it. Like, even though in my head, like I said, I have all these really positive moments, and from everything I've talked about, it feels like love. And I don't know, it bothered me. I don't know if that
Yes,
makes
I
sense. I'm
can
having a hard time
understand.
with it.
I can understand why David Icke is a man that has had his own spiritual experiences. He's a very earthbound person, and he's very much in his mind. So he's very creative in his mind and in his spiritual experiences. I think that you've always got to remember that David Icke is somebody that's also had a childhood and also
Hmm.
has experienced traumas and gone through traumas. And so over time, he's trying to put all these threads together to create and weave his story that sounds in his masculine mind logical. But what he forgets, of course, always is love and the heart. And what I think David Icke really lacks is this deeper knowing that's beyond. what he talks about, which is actually mainly fear-based. If you really go down to it, David Icke's whole kind of understanding, it's very fear-based and it's very kind of logical. I don't think David Icke knows that the interdimensional realms, there is absolutely no logic there. There is just a frequency of deep love. And I'm talking about the realms. There are many different realms. There are also lower realms, right? But there are also higher realms and higher realms and higher realms. So who on earth, does David think he is when he, pretends to know it all? And as soon as you create and make a person into a guru, that this person has all the answers, then they actually know nothing at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an old quote, isn't it? The moment you know everything, you actually know nothing at all. And for me, David is very fear-based. It's like somebody who's only into positive stuff, okay? We live in a realm which has darkness and light. Our earthly realm is built on so many different experiences, from the really brutal to the absolute joyful, and we've come here to experience them all in our lives. And some of us get stuck in the brutal experiences of life, and others transcend through them and make it out and heal our traumas. It really depends on what we want to do in this life. And it's very, very wrong to immediately follow a guru, because the moment you do that, you lose your own power. And that's what all these gurus do. They take away your power by giving you a new script. And that's exactly what we have to stop following, is the script. Okay, we have to trust in the signs around us. We have to trust in the realms that are constantly there and helping us, the angelic realms, Christ. And I'm not talking religiously now. Christ was a person and he never got sacrificed. This is built on a satanic lie. Christ came to fuel the blood lineage across our earth. And that's why many of the human beings on our earth still hold the same bloodline. And they want to eradicate that. The war is on blood lineages and frequency. That's what the real war is about. And we are here to remember who we truly are and to understand that we are powerful beings when we step into the heart and out of fear completely, and have the courage to face ourselves and each other.
Well, thank you. I mean, I would be, yeah, I don't think I like fully bought in, but it scared me. I'm not gonna act like it didn't, and it did, and it bothered me a little. I was like,
It's
I don't know.
supposed to. It's supposed to trigger people who have fear-based trauma into depleting their own powerful self. Because when your frequency is tapped into fear, you're much more easily to manage, right?
Yeah,
But
for
when your
sure.
frequency is into a powerful, potent, loving force, no one can control you.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm glad we talked about it. I
Yeah.
do feel. I know it's not about feeling better. I'm just in a stage where I'm figuring it out. And like I said, it was a very short blip. Like it was just, I am all for, yeah, leaning into love. And I totally agree with you that fear is that is the, that's what takes our power away. The only thing that takes our power away. I listened to this guy named Darius J. Wright. I don't know if you know who he is, but
Yes, I
he
do.
he
Yes.
constantly goes out of his body. I actually took his program in 2023, and I had two of the most incredible experiences of my life. It is my paradigm experience, right? It is my paradigm shifting moment where I went, whoa, I'm definitely more than my body. I felt the vibrational stage where I'm talking everything in my every cell, Nicole, was vibrating at this level, and I popped out. I wasn't in my house, but I was definitely in another dimension, and I was like, this is insane. I felt real. I remember being like, I remember like seconds ago, I just sat down on the couch and I was trying to do this, like the whole thing. I did the whole, and it's just one of those moments for me. I went, whoa, I'm definitely more than my body. And I like how he talks about it. He's like, no, this is, he says the same thing that you just said. He says that fear is the only thing that holds you back. That's the only power they have, and it's not even real power. It's just you give them your power because you're scared. And he says to get rid of that because there's so much more to this
Exactly.
than we have any idea of, really.
Exactly. And so when you know that, then get rid of the gurus, the David Ikes in this world, because what are they serving? They're just enhancing your fear. You know, you decide when you want to let go of your fear. And that's why we're here. We're here to transmute our fears back into deep, unconditional, universal love. That's why we're here. I remember when I was in the other realm during my NDE, when I came back, I started wanting to be in water much more often. So I would swim for hours and hours in the freezing cold lakes and oceans around where I lived. And I started to get the most incredible information. It almost seemed like a storyline being told to me and spoken to me. So every night I would go home and manically write down all these stories that I had seen and experienced and heard. And yeah, it ended up in an incredible piece of writing, which I created a book out of called Terra Infinita, Downloads from the Ether. And these stories, wow, these stories, I mean, they get me really emotional because we will all go through a lot in the next years, and we have to be really strong and heart connected with our families, with our children, with each other, building communities. And if we stay in the heart, and if we look at the signs and we trust God, we trust God to show us the path, we will always be in the right place at the right time, no matter what. And these stories that I wrote down, it starts from 2027 and they carry on right up until 2042. So yeah, so that book is, it's a beautiful book. It's full of positivity, but we will go through a lot. But that's normal, you know. Haven't we all been through a lot since children? Look how much our lives have changed. Look how much your life has changed since you were 2, 3.
Oh yeah,
You've gone through so much in your life.
so
You've learned
much.
so much. So many people you've met and people you let go from
And patterns I've
and new.
broken. All yeah, I did that recently. I was like, wow, look how far I am, even a year ago.
So what's happening now is that it's speeding up. Time is an illusion anyway. But we're going through cycles, and these cycles are changing where we are now seeing the truth. And that's really what's happening now. We are living in the cycle of truth where there are no lies anymore. We will see everything as it truly is in this realm. And some of that will be very hard. Okay. So we just have to trust, and we have to keep on living from our hearts and trusting God to show us the path, and really having a trust beyond our egos, beyond ourselves. Yeah, it's when you surrender, that is very important, is a surrendering and then trusting.
Powerful. Well, there's a piece of me that's very excited for what's to come because I feel like you. I feel like I definitely chose this time. I think, yeah, I don't know what my role is, but I do. I feel home, and just even in this space, relatively, like I feel like 33 years of my life was preparing for whatever is coming. um,
Yeah.
and I feel the most myself I have been in a very, very long time, and I think there's a lot more to go. So that's why I'm kind of like I feel like I'm here and there's a lot more to go still. And so I'm excited for it. Um, I want to be there for my family, of course, and try to be a foundation. And yeah, I'm just trying to have good conversations, I guess. And
It's wonderful. It's wonderful what you're doing. What you're doing is you're transcending through the fear right now. You're letting go. slowly dissipating. Remember, it's a new journey for you. You just started recently, but you're an ancient soul. You've done this over and over again, and you're just now here to connect with millions and millions of people that will eventually watch your podcasts and realize that this world is just a very, very small part of where we go and where we experience. I'll tell you what happened to me only last week. I haven't had a spiritual experience for quite a long time, to be honest. But I had some serious shit, excuse my language. I know I shouldn't speak like that, looking like this. I look like an angel.
It's all
But
good. It's all good.
I am an angel, but we all are. But the thing is, I'm also, I'm human after all, living this experience. And I had some huge fight with my husband. And I don't know about you, but when I have fights with my partner, I get ill, get physically
Yeah,
ill that I
same.
can't eat.
Exactly the same way.
It gets so bad because I don't like drama. I don't like fighting. I stopped eating. And the weird thing is I asked God about 3 months ago, please God, I want to fast. I want to fast, but I love food and it's impossible for me to not eat food. And there it was right in front of my face. God gave me the fast. I didn't expect it would come in an argument with my husband, but there it was. And so I fasted naturally for 2 days, only water. And then on the second day, around 12 noon, I lay in bed, totally distraught, hungry as hell. And I closed my eyes, and suddenly it happened. A small screen, like a TV screen, opened up with my eyes closed, and I was sucked into this world. Like I'm looking at a screen here now.
Yep, I
I could
believe you.
see a screen with my eyes closed, and I was rushing through nature and reeds, and I was like, whoa. And I kind of was so excited. I kept hold of this image with my eyes closed, and it lasted for about 20, 30 seconds. But the more excited I got, it just disappeared. It disappeared and it went. And I thought, wow, what's this? And then I spoke to some people about this. And apparently, when you fast, this is why we all should fast now. Now is the time we need to fast, because during fasting, you get the information. And when we fast, DMT releases naturally in our brains, and things start happening. All kinds of incredible things start happening because our bodies are not, digesting the foods. We're completely clean as we should be, and we're just experiencing our body as it should be. So that happened about a week ago. That was an amazing experience. So
Yeah, cool.
I've decided I want to fast much more often, and I think everybody should start fasting now. If they feel lost, um, forget about smoking or alcohol. I mean, that doesn't exist. You really need to let go of those toxic habits right now. If you haven't done that already, that's not going to serve you anymore. And then fast for a couple of days. Drink lots of water, good water, clean water. Talk to your water, amplify the love in the water before you drink it, pray over the water. Water listens. It's been proven in scientific experiments by Emoto on the microscopes. Everybody knows that story. So start doing that. Do that with your food. Do that with water. Do that with everything in your life. We need to start praying. And it's not what we pray for, it's how we pray. That is the most important thing. It's not asking for things. It's sending out the joy and the gratefulness for having the things already. Do you understand? It's for having the children, having the health, having your home, having your blessed life, having the world. Ask for peace. Thank you for bestowing peace upon the world. Don't ask that the war will be stopped. No, because you're accentuating the war. Ask for thank you for creating more peace on this earth. Thank you for protecting all of us. Thank you for protecting my family, my friends, the world, people in different countries. That's how we need to pray. So if anybody is curious about praying, start researching how to pray properly. That would be something I really recommend. Learn how to pray properly and learn how to fast.
I love it. They say the universe gives you more of what you are, not more of what you want. When you say you want something, it says to the universe that you do not have that thing, and it gives you more of that. And so it is.
Yes.
And they don't teach you this kind of stuff. Like, you have to figure this out through conversations or listening to an episode or someone like you. The last year at the pretty close to this time, it was more April last year, very similar experience. I was laying down at night and I was in my mind's eye and I saw colors and I was like, huh. And I was looking at it and I'd seen colors before, Nicole. So I'd seen purple and green and I'm just watching it. Normally it doesn't have form. It's just kind of like little clouds and I'm watching it, but this time was different and I was watching it and it was more of like an orb. And I was like, I want to see if it could turn blue. And it turned blue. And I was like, hmm. I was like, what about yellow? And it went yellow. And then I said, what about red? And I was just watching it. I wasn't too excited. I wasn't too anything. I was just observing it. And it opened up into a portal and it was crystal clear, exactly like you're talking about. Like I'm looking at a screen and my eyes are closed. And I went, whoa. And I got way too excited. So it shut. And then I woke my wife up and I was like, I just saw the crap. It's like, I don't even know what that was, but it's never happened again.
We can all do that. That's what I want to say to your viewers. We can all do that, but we need to cleanse ourselves. All you need to do is drink good water and fast for a certain amount of days. Don't overdo it. Especially if you're new to it, be really careful how you go about it. And anyone who's on medication or anything like that, just be aware and do research beforehand. But I think you saw the screen. So my question is, what is this reality we're in? If we are looking at a screen right now, and when we have our eyes closed and we fast and we see a screen opening up, what is that? Are we really in some kind of strange movie that's playing out our lives, only to discover that when we close our eyes and we go through these experiences that we enter a new movie of a new reality into another dimension? It just shows you that we have absolutely no clue. And that's why we're here, to remember who we've always been. Now is the time.
I'm all in. I'm telling you, when I had those out of body experiences, I just knew. I knew at that moment. I think I'm really going to focus on that again, start ramping it up. I had my second daughter, and so my sleep has been crazy. It's been kind of survival over here. Thank you. But we're now getting to a place where she's sleeping through the night, and I feel like I can start practicing again. But I think I'm supposed to go down that path, or at least I'm supposed to keep experimenting with that. I know that. I feel drawn to it. I feel like it's something I was supposed to encounter around this time. So I'm going to keep trying. Hopefully I can pop out in this dimension. That's what I want. I want to pop out, turn around, and see myself on the couch or in the bed and go, okay.
I think what would help you also, because I mean, I can tune into your colors. It's something that happened to me after my NDE. I was able to feel and see colors and symbols from people, which I actually now incorporate into paintings. They're called soul frequency paintings. And so with you, I see lots of purple. There's a lot of purple around you, and blues and greens. So these colors, when you think about these colors, they can get you into a deeper awareness, and they can focus on certain things that you can heal within yourself as well, regarding anxiety and fear.
All right. Well, Nicole, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do that? Is that through your website?
Yes. So this is my artwork, by the way. If you see my painting, I started painting after my ND. That's really where it started. And what I felt was, it's like I never painted before, which is incredible. But I started painting these. It's very abstract, but it's like an underwater realm.
They're so cool. I love them. I think they're beautiful. So I'm very happy to have met you. Thank you so much. I hope we can stay connected. And yeah, thank you for everything, for your advice, for bringing a little clarity. That's why I do these calls. It's selfishly for me. I like to I'm curious and I wanna ask what's going on.
Well, you're helping many. You're helping many, and I can only ask you to carry on your journey, and for the people to inspire you to let every time a little bit more go of your fears. That's what I wish for you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I will let you know, Nicole, when this goes live. Thank you again, and we will talk soon.
Yes, all the best. Bye bye.